Ladies and gentlemen, Trump wants the country reopened and raring to go. But scientists are saying it will lock down again. This came out on Newsweek, April 17th, 2020. Donald Trump says America will open up, but scientists predict it'll be back in lockdown again. Here's why. With unemployment claims ballooning to 22 million people, the coronavirus lockdown took an uncomfortable turn for state governors on Wednesday. Workers and small business owners clogged the streets of Lansing, Michigan, near the Capitol, blaring cars and truck horns and waving signs calling on Governor Gretchen Whitmer to allow businesses to open up. Smaller protests took place in Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, North Carolina, and Utah. The angry outbursts came just as the nation teeters on the computer model says the peak of coronavirus outbreak. I don't believe that. I don't believe we're at a peak. And again, how do you determine that when people still, for the most part, have not been tested? You don't even technically know how many people out here got this thing. You don't know. Everybody is not big on going to hospitals. So, ladies and gentlemen, according to most calculations, the death toll, after rising with terrifying steepness for several weeks, should be flattening out and soon start to drop. It sounds to me like, you have the most impatient people heading this thing, and that's going to be a problem. And if they lock down again, nobody is going to trust your judgment again. See, these folks think they can make 1,001 mistakes and everybody should still just block all of that out and still trust you. It doesn't work that way, especially when it's people's lives. Don't work that way. The worst is over, the New York Governor Cuomo said earlier this week. I don't believe the worst is over, but let's move on. Reality, though, seems to have other ideas. New Jersey proposed on the downward slope, reported 362 deaths on Thursday, the biggest single day increase. Governor Phil Murphy said the death toll is at 3,518, surpasses the number of state residents who died in World War One. Despite the lack of clarity, reopening is on everybody's mind. No, not really. Trump announced Thursday, we are in the next front of our war, which we are calling opening up America again. The governors on both coasts are hammering out plans to lift restrictions on businesses. Governor Gavin Newsom of California said any plans to open the state would be guided by science and data. One thing is clear, regardless of whether the lockdown ends next week or next year, the virus will be waiting on the other side. A lockdown only delays the virus progress through the population. It's designed to keep the burden off emergency rooms and intensive care units and buy time. The relevant question in considering how and when to lift the lockdown is not how to prevent deaths, but rather how to prevent too many deaths all at once. Several private studies have laid out framework for a plan, and the governors are no doubt fashioning their own. There is a consensus that life will not go back to normal until scientists figure out how to defang the virus with a vaccine or treatments that keep the acutely ill from dying on ventilators, or both. New treatments will take months to roll out, and a vaccine is at least a year away. How then do we negotiate the coming months? Most plans present a post lockdown scenario in which life wouldn't exactly be normal, but would still be an improvement on lockdown. People would wear masks when they go outside. Some businesses would reopen with social distancing precautions. Large gatherings would be forbidden and bars would stay closed. Baseball season might reopen, but teams would play to empty stadiums. Former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb, an author of a report published by the American Enterprise Institute, told Vox that it would look like a gradual reintroduction of activity. Okay, but this is not what the scientists said. They're saying just doing an analysis on SARS-CoV-2, it was likely to behave, how it was going to behave after the lockdown was lifted. And they seem to think that this lockdown will occur again. And I have to agree with that. Now, I did see New York has extended their lockdown until May 15th. So they won't be doing May 1st. I guess some states might be doing May 1st, but I know they are going to be doing they're pushing it out until May 15th. Wow. The authors found that loosening restrictions would almost certainly produce a rebound later in the year, a false sense of security during the summer months in northern states such as New York and Michigan, where the virus might be less active. You're not seeing that in Florida. I'm just saying it's 80s and 90s down there, and it's not less active. Y'all better pay attention to the warmer states. They're telling you that this thing is not weakening because it's hot. Okay. All right, so they're anticipating it to be less active in the summer heat and could lead to a spike in most cases in the autumn or winter. That's even more severe than the one we're looking at now. To avoid another catastrophe, doctors would use contract tracing to jump on small outbreaks before they turn into big ones. Contact tracing would require PCR test to detect the presence of the virus in patients' blood and the presence of antibodies, an indication of whether or not a patient has immunity. The monitoring would have to be done at the local level, which means tests would have to be cheap, plentiful, and quick. Paul Romer, a Nobel laureate and professor at the New York University, calls the administering tests to everyone in the country every 2 weeks. Wow. I don't see it, y'all. They can't even get all the testing done now. You're talking about testing everybody every 2 weeks? Nah, they ain't gonna be able to do it. I'm just telling you, they can't even do all the testing one time. There's still places still begging for tests, saying there's not enough. But you're gonna suddenly have enough to do 2 tests every other week on the whole country? I'm not buying it. I don't know. Y'all can tell me in the comment section. I'm not buying it. More than 20 million tests per day. Testing on a scale is not going to happen anytime soon. Yeah, on that scale, you're right. You sure won't because you're not even testing once and being successful at it. Tests are only being rolled out, and it will be at least 2 weeks before there are results for more than a handful of places. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Without test and tracing, the only tool available to keep the outbreak in check is social distancing. No one wants a permanent lockdown, so they also ran the computer models on a strategy of intermittent lockdowns. Wow. So that tells me the scientists believe there may be multiple lockdowns. Oh my good. Life is never going to be the same in America. That good old life you were enjoying just back in February, gone. 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 Y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.